Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Today is May 6th, 2020. We've been working really hard on writing letters to our community to show them how much we care about them. We've written many different kinds of letters, and today is no different. Today, actually, before I reveal to you who we're writing to, we want to make sure you have your materials. So again, take out your paper, your letter writing paper. Again, it could be a blank piece of paper and you draw neatly your lines. It could be a lined piece of paper such as mine from a notebook, or you have the printed version from the Google Drive. Again, yours is not going to have the words, but you can write them in to help with your spacing and your neatness. Again, just a reminder, these red lines here, if you are using a notebook, these are called margins, and these are here to help remind you to write as neatly as possible using from the beginning of the line all the way until the end before using the next line. You're going to make sure you have your pencil. In this case, I have my pen. Go ahead and make sure you have all your materials before we get started. Before we start our writing, I have a few shout outs. Yesterday we wrote apology letters for mistakes we have made to certain people, either for things that we said or things that we did. I have a shout out for Malachi, Divine, Alexander, Edriel, and Adrian. These friends were very clear about what they were apologizing for, and they took the time and the effort to explain how sorry they were, why, and how they're going to fix it for next time. They followed all 4 steps of the apology letter. Now, on top of that, they used their spacing very efficiently. That means I could read their letter clearly. They included the parts of the letter. They started at the beginning of the line all the way to the end, and they were making sure their thoughts were complete. All right, we're gonna take a look at some of those on the screen now. Again, you can always pause and use one of these letters as an example when you do your writing today. All right, let's go celebrate our friends. All right, it's time to officially get started. Today we are going to be writing author letters. That's right, you heard me correct. We are writing letters to our favorite authors. We know that authors are the people that write books. We are going to think, right now I want you to think about all the books you've read in school, at home, and I want you to think about some of your favorite ones. Elephant and Piggy, Knuffle Bunny, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, The Berenstain Bears, Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. These are just a few, right? Now, there are so many authors. So that's why it's important to think of some of your favorite books, because this is going to be your very own letter to your favorite author. Not mine, yours. Don't worry, I'll include some on the screen in case you're like, I don't know who wrote this book. All right? All right, I'm going to put up 2 letters on the screen that some first graders over at Brook East Boston wrote a few years ago to their favorite authors. And I want you to think about what is going into these letters that makes them complete. What is making that author letter that they wrote complete? Go ahead and watch it now and then come back and join me. All right, what'd you notice? Yep, they all shared how much they loved the book. They asked the author a question. Okay, now we're going to add on to that. When you're writing to an author, you should be giving specific reasons why you like his or her book. What makes their book stand out to you so much that you consider it one of your favorites? It's not just any book, it's one of your favorites. Why? You're also going to think about how or why the book reminds you of an experience you've had. We know that we enjoy books because they tell stories, and stories are things that are based off of events that could happen any day, whether it's fiction or we're teaching someone new facts, right? That can be based off of our everyday life along with our imagination. The next thing you want to include is your favorite part of the book and why, right? What was the part where you reached the book and you were just like, I just can't put this down, or I want to keep reading, or this book is too good. Another thing you should be including are the reasons you decided to read the book. Now, some of them may be because your teacher told you to, but if you were book shopping, whether at school in your classroom library or at the library or now even online, what made you decide to read that book? And then thinking about questions that you may have for the author about how they got the book idea. They wrote that book for a reason. And we've learned a lot about author's purpose this year during Read Aloud. Okay, so I want you to think about what questions you may have for the author. And remember, questions are a good way in letters that the person you're writing to can write you a letter back answering those questions. All right? All right, that time has come. Get out your paper and your pencil. All right, here we go. We're starting with our heading, and our heading we know is our date. Today is May 6th, 2020. It is a Wednesday. You can write that out in words, or you can write it with just your numbers. Should look like this. Okay. Now, the greeting, we're always addressing who we are writing to. So think about which author is your favorite. I'm going to think about mine. Okay. Have you got it? All right. So you're going to write dear, and you're writing whoever you're writing to. I'm going to be writing to Kevin Henkes. Now we know that the author's name, the first letter of the first name and the first letter of the last name are going to be capital because the author's name is a proper noun. It is a specific person. Go ahead and write in your author name, put a comma. Now remember, as we write our body, we are still continuing to build our sentences with our fingers. For the first sentence, everyone is going to have the same exact sentence. Your first sentence is going to look like this. Put up your fingers and we're going to build it together. I love your books. Now you could write that just like I said it, or you could say it with expression, and in that case you would add what at the end? That's right, an exclamation mark, and that would sound like this. I love your books. Write that down word by word, stretching out those words or going off of your memory. Go ahead and write that down. I'm going to write mine. All right, your first sentence should look like this. Now, I'm going to get into the specific reasons why I like his or her book. Now, thinking to myself, why do I love all the Kevin Henkes books? What pattern do they share? I know that every time I've read a Kevin Henkes book, I've learned a lesson. And one thing Miss Andrews really loves is learning. So that is something I'm going to let Kevin Henkes know. I think he would really appreciate knowing that I'm learning every time I read one of his books. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to build my sentence silently on my fingers, and you're building your second sentence about why you love your author's books, and then we're going to write it down. All right, you have all of them? You know what to do. Okay, when you're done, put your pencil down. I want you to reread your sentence to yourself and see if it makes sense. I'm going to do that now, silently, and then out loud. I really appreciate learning a lesson every time I read a book of yours. Okay, now we're moving on to our third sentence. Again, writing is thinking, so we're not worrying about how many sentences we're writing. We're worried about, again, stretching out those words, writing out them from memory, and taking our time to completely express our thoughts. So moving into the next sentence, we're thinking about how or why the book reminds you of an experience you may have had. So I just told you I learned a lesson from Kevin Henkes' book. I'm going to think now, do any of those lessons remind me of lessons I've experienced in real life? Take the time to do the same. All right, when you've got it, you can share it either in the comments below. You could whisper it to yourself. You could say it to the person next to you. All right, mine is from the book Owen. You guys all remember that book. And if you remember correctly, Owen is the main character, and he has trouble letting go of his favorite blanket. His parents think it's time for him to grow up and just leave the blanket behind, but he doesn't want to because it means so much to him. All right, now that's happened to me a couple times in real life. Maybe not with a blanket, but it's happened with a toy, a stuffed animal, maybe something someone made for me. Okay, so I'm going to let Kevin Henkes know about that. I'm going to build my sentence on my fingers. Once you've got it, write that exact sentence down word by word. And when you're finished, put your pencil down, reread the sentence to yourself, see if it makes sense, and I'm going to do the same. All right, here's mine. In the book Owen having a hard time letting go of his blanket reminded me of how hard it was letting go of my stuffed giraffe when I was little. All right, moving into the next part, you are sharing your favorite part of the book and why. So think about that now. In my favorite part of the book, Owen, it's the end where the mom cuts his blanket into little pieces and she makes it into handkerchiefs that Owen can still use. And that's my favorite part because it combines a little bit of the old, which he loved, and a little bit of the new because he's going to be using it in a different way. Right? So let me build my sentence and I'm going to write that down. Once you've got it, write that down word by word, stretching out those words and thinking from memory. Once you finish, put your pencil down. Again, reread that sentence to yourself. and think if it makes sense. Alright, I'm going to read you mine. My favorite part was when Mom cut it into small pieces and made handkerchiefs because now he had a mix of old and new. As we close out our letters to our favorite authors, the last two things you're keeping in mind are the reasons you decided to read the book and questions about how the author got the book idea. So I'm going to combine those two. All right. Again, I already told my author at the beginning that I love learning a lesson. So I could remind him that that's why I chose his book. And I'm also going to ask him about how he got the book idea. All right, for the last time, write that down word by word again. And now we close it out with our closing. You're going to go ahead and choose your favorite closing. As a reminder, they are sincerely your friend, best. You could write your fan, right? Because when you like something, people that like something are called fans. So I'm going to write that, your fan. And I'm going to write my signature, which is just my name. And as I put my pencil down, I'm re-looking at my letter. I'm making sure that at the end of every sentence and every thought is a punctuation mark. I'm making sure my words, especially my heart words, are spelled correctly. I'm reading my letter to see if it makes sense. And if there's anything I need to edit and fix. Remember, you're trying your absolute best because practice makes progress. I'm going to read you my letter right now. Dear Kevin Henkes, I love your books. I really appreciate learning a lesson every time I read a book of yours. In the book Owen having a hard time letting go of his blanket reminded me of how hard it was letting go of my stuffed giraffe when I was little. My favorite part was when Mom cut it into small pieces and made handkerchiefs because now he had a mix of old and new. How do you think of these ideas? Your fan, Stephanie. Right? And when you are proud and finished with your letter, you're going to go ahead and take a picture and upload it onto Seesaw. All right. That is all for today. Until tomorrow, my friends, have a wonderful day.